Hi everyone. Now, in a previous video I highlighted how one can use the Nvidia Freestyle Filters to add auto depth of field to your flight experience. I'll put a link to that video down below should you wish to have a look if you haven't seen it. In today's video I intend to go over a couple of other filters which may help to reduce what I find to be over excessive vibrant colors sometimes in 2020, in Microsoft 2020. Now, you may like the vibrant colors, but as a keen photographer and keen watercolorist of landscapes, it annoys me sometimes, particularly at sunset, when everything seems to turn red and orange and is quite unrealistic, particularly when I fly mainly in the northern hemisphere. So the first thing you would need, if you haven't already installed it, is to go to the nvidia.com GeForce Experience download page and download and install GeForce Experience, which you can download by clicking the Download Now button, and once you've installed GeForce Experience you can run it. So once you've opened GeForce Experience, actually in settings, make sure you've got Freestyle ready. Okay, having started up Flight Simulator, I've positioned the drone just to the west of Gatwick. As you can see, the green fields and everything, particularly in the winter months in the northern hemisphere, are far too green. Obviously the trees at the moment, they don't have seasons, so they're showing all in leaf, whereas it's winter time. But there is another app or program that you can purchase called Bijan Seasons, which you can set the different seasons and it helps. But in terms of the colouring, I've gone clear sky here just to reflect what I mean. So if you hold down Alt and do F3, the game filter should pop up. As you can see at the moment I've got it off. If I go to 2, I've already set up mine for 1. You can add a filter, and if we first add details, as you can see the grass and everything has changed somewhat, but it has a number of other settings. Now I adjust these. I'm not sure exactly what I've adjusted them to, but if I usually turn the sharpen off because I find that too cartoony. Clarity you can turn down as well because again that tends to sharpen things up. HDR toning is to your liking, obviously. Actually clarity could be a bit more, so we'll turn that down as well, but you may find you need to adjust it depending on how dark it is in the cockpit. And it allows you to adjust the bloom levels, which I tend to have quite low because I find the sort of default bloom is far too high. I like to have bloom on because the sun, I'm not keen on the fixed ring of the sun when bloom in the simulator is turned off, but that's a personal choice. So as you can see, it's dulled things down a bit, and which some people may not like. But to me, it's more realistic, particularly in the northern hemisphere and particularly during the winter months. If we click the difference, it's not an awful lot, but it's subtle. Now the other filter that I use is color. And in color, forget the fact that it's changed like that because we can adjust it. You can adjust the temperature. So if you want it brown, or if you want it more brown, or in the winter months it tends to be a bit bluer. The tint intensity one can adjust as well, so you get it to where you like it, and the tint color, so you can adjust and turn down the tint color. And the vibrance, this is the main one where you can just turn it down slightly to lessen the vibrancy of the colors. So if we turn that off again, you'll see there's quite a big difference now between the filter being on and being off, the default, which is far too green for my liking. And particularly during the winter. I mean, if you like it like that in the summer, fine, you can turn it off. So they're the two filters we use, or that I use, I beg your pardon. So then you click done, and they're set. And whenever you load in 2020, the filters will be there. And if they're not, you can call up the filter menu and turn them on. Now, the other thing which has always annoyed me a little bit, being a keen photographer and a watercolor landscape artist, well, amateur artist I should say, is that during the sunset everything tends to turn far too red. So if we change the time to be sunset, you'll see what I mean. Okay? Now, in the northern hemisphere, I mean it may be in some parts of the world, in the northern hemisphere and particularly in winter time, I've never seen a sunset spreading. Everything tends to turn orange everywhere, completely orange, far too vibrant. So if we call up the filter again, we go back to our color settings. Again, we can adjust it slightly. So it's a matter of getting the area, the thing to where you want it. So if I turn down the vibrance to get the sort of effect that I would want without it being too red everywhere, so that's around about 30% probably. You probably want the vibrance anyway. So if I set that to done, so if we look around now, to me that's far more consistent with the sort of cloud reflection and ambience that one would get, particularly during the winter months in the northern hemisphere. Now just to see how the settings look in clear skies, I'll go back and adjust it to clear skies. So that's the sunset in winter. So the sunset in there, we'll change the time slightly, so that it's just after sunset. So that's the effect just after sunset. So you get a nice glow without it being over vibrant in any way. So if I go back and turn it off, you know, some people would prefer that. And during the summer months, yes, sunsets can be a lot deeper, but all the way round, you don't see the orange of the sun in the sunset all the way around. So if I turn it back on, you know, you might think, oh, I don't like that, it's not very red. But to me, it's far more realistic of what one gets in Northern Europe, particularly in Northern Europe. Now we can adjust it slightly a bit more. So we could turn it up a little bit. In fact, I had it on 30 minus 37. So you might like it like that. Okay? So let's accept that, and we'll go back to the clouds. So if I put in scattered clouds, oh, why has it gone dark? Why is it? It's a bit strange. I think it's because I'd adjusted this. So you'll see again, it's quite red, but it's not quite as red as it would be if I turn off the filter. You know, that is maybe if you're taking photographs and you want to emphasize a sunset, perhaps you would adjust your photos to reflect that. But in real life, it's never that red. Now, my own filters, I currently using that, but again, I'd probably turn down the vibrancy a bit more. at this time of year. So down to say there or something like that, 30, around about 30, between 30 and 35%, I think is a good balance. So that's all I wanted to cover. I mean, play around with the filters, but personally, let's change the time again just to put it back more daylight. Now again, obviously it's quite dull at the moment over Gatwick, but you know, it's obviously down to your own preference. But to me, that is far more realistic of the sort of colours, particularly in the winter months in the Northern Hemisphere. So if we turn it off again, you'll see the difference. It's subtle, but it's definitely there, and it does reduce the green. But you can play around with the various filters, and hopefully you'll find a good compromise. So I hope you found that useful, and thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, please click the like icon below, and feel free to subscribe to my channel by clicking subscribe and the bell. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.